Spoilers. What's going on, y'all? Brother Doug here. Forgive me for my late Wonder Woman review. You just know I'm just so tied up here. I definitely had, it was an obligation to make this video because I was like, my fans gonna have a fit if I don't make a video. So here we are, man, with Wonder Woman. So first, before I get on with my review, I just want to say, just like I did for Batman vs Superman, I want to apologize to Gal Gadot. I remember when she was announced to play Wonder Woman, I was like, man, why they couldn't pick nobody else? Like, she's too skinny. I don't think she can act. She definitely showed her ass in this movie. And Gal Gadot, if you have forgiveness in your heart, I'm so sorry. And just like I did Ben Affleck with Batman vs Superman, I thought he and Wonder Woman were probably the best parts of the movie. Not to discredit Henry Cavill, because you know what I said on the Man of Steel review, that he was an awesome Superman, and hopefully they do something good with him in Justice League as well as Man of Steel 2. But hey, whoever they cast now, they have to show us what they can do. You know how the saying goes: don't judge a book by its cover. Speaking of the DCEU, you guys know me from all my DCEU videos, Suicide Squad, Batman vs. Superman, Man of Steel. I never, ever, 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 even my tweets and my Facebook posts, I never gave up on the DCEU, sorry, DCW, the WB, DC Universe, DCEU. Because here's the thing, I'm a comic book fan. As you all know, I'm always doing comic book reviews. I love DC, I love Marvel, I love Image, I love Dark Horse, I love Valiant. I love everything that I love manga, anime. But I want them all to succeed. But I want them to be on par. I want them to be on the same level, if you would. I want Marvel. I want DC to be on par with Marvel. Thing is, though, they got it going for them. DC is far superior when it comes to villains because, as I said, Marvel doesn't really have great villains. Get ready to flame on me in the comments. I mean, the sequel hasn't been officially greenlit, but we know it's coming. I mean, come on. After those numbers and that record, because Patty Jenkins, the director, she's already signed on, and of course, Gal Gadot got that multi-contract because she's part of the DCEU, so that's a no-brainer. All right, so without further ado, let's get things started. With all my reviews, I get on to what I liked, what I disliked, and little Easter eggs here and there. The thing about the third one, the Easter eggs, I'm not really too familiar with Wonder Woman's mythology. I know that her name is Diana Prince, that Cheetah and Cersei and Ares are her main villains. But as far as being deep into her mythology, I don't really know Wonder Woman like that. So some of y'all could probably help me with this one. But for the Easter eggs, I'm gonna change that to sequel ideas. So without further ado, y'all, like I keep saying, let's get started. All right, so what I liked the new DC opening. That was dope. It reminded me of the Justice League Unlimited intro. It had all the DC heroes in silhouettes. This one was dope. People in my audience were clapping. You could definitely tell DC fans were in the building. I couldn't really make out who, I would have to go back and watch it because I'm pretty sure everybody has videos and stuff now. But I'm trying to figure it out. I did see Nightwing. I saw Nightwing. I saw Martian Manhunter. I saw Static Shock. Yep. Hawkman and Hawkgirl. I want to see the other people because I know they probably have more Teen Titans or even some of the Suicide Squad up in there. But hey, the humor. Oh my goodness. I love the humor in this movie. Joss Whedon, who's also co-directing Justice League now because of Zack Snyder taking a leave of absence because of his daughter's death. He said, 'cause, I love his writing style. He said that you can cry, you can die, but for God's sakes, tell a joke. He's talking about writing and film, in general. And this movie had lots of it. A lot of people complain that DCU is too dark and it's humorless, but this movie was chock full of humor. Like it had me dying. So as I said, the cast was outstanding. Whether it was Gal Gadot, Chris Pine, the actress who plays Queen Hippolyta, Robin Wright, who played Antiope, Giddy Up. Even the villains were awesome. Some people are, I don't know, some people are on the fence about the villains. I loved them. They were sinister, yet they were funny. Ares, that took me by surprise. I knew he was going to be in the film, but I didn't know it was going to be the old dude, the Sir Patrick. I didn't know it was going to be him. Yeah, Patty Jenkins did her thing, man. The director, she was awesome. This is like, as I mentioned earlier, this movie made 100 million. This is the first for a woman director, so that's kudos to Miss Jenkins. And you could definitely tell Jeff Johns, who's the Kevin Feige of the DCEU, had his little touches on it because the movie was awesome. Not to say that Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Suicide Squad weren't awesome. It was just what's the word I'm looking for? It just wasn't really on the same caliber as Wonder Woman is. You know, some people are comparing it to Dark Knight. I would compare it to Dark Knight. You know, as far as DC movies go, you know, the atmosphere of Themyscira, like it was just so mesmerizing. You know, it reminded me of Thor, Asgard. And the thing is, with this movie and Thor, I like the scenes in their worlds, you know, the fantasy worlds, as opposed to being on Earth or man's world. Thing is, I didn't mind the fish out of water story because they didn't hark on it too much as they did in the Thor movies. But I don't know. I just really like, you know, I want to get away from the real world. If you know what I mean. You know, I don't really want my characters of fantasy to really indulge or engage in activity that takes place in the real world. Which is why I think Thor Ragnarok is going to be awesome because it takes place in other worlds aside from Earth. Actually, I don't think it takes place. Yeah, it does. It does take place on Earth because Thor goes to Doctor Strange. Anyway, this is a DC blog. What am I doing? So as far as Doctor Poison goes, I know she has a little porcelain half, kind of like I guess the female Two Face, if you would, but not really, because you know, like just a chunk of her face is gone, not really half. But anyways, you guys know what I mean. How does she eat? That was my main concern. Every time she was on screen, I was just watching like, bruh, how does she brush her teeth? How does she eat? Cause she talks like this. I mean, you know what I'm talking like this, and how does she eat? All right, so what I disliked. You guys know I'm a big buff when it comes to after credit scenes. This movie kind of needed one. You know, it could have set up, you know, Justice League. It could have set up maybe the next Wonder Woman movie. Uh, I mean, a hint at Cheetah or something, who I think should be the next villain. But we'll talk more about that later. The scenes that really didn't do it for me were the political scenes. You know, where they're in the meeting, the council, and also to an extent, the bar scenes, you know, where they're all trying to, you know, come up with a game plan. Like, I mean, granted, it was part of the plot and part of the movie, but I mean, I can see some people dozing off too, myself included, just like, trying to fall back asleep. But once it got back to the action, everybody's wide awake, like, oh yeah, edge of my seat and everything. So at the end of the movie, as you know, this is a spoiler-filled video. So at the end of the movie, Wonder Woman is in present-day London, and she jumps off the building and jets to the sky. So that does that mean that she can fly now? Because you know, in Wonder Woman comics and in the animated shows, she flies. But on here in the DCEU, she just jumps really high. So did that imply that she can fly now? And are we gonna get the invisible jet later on? All right. So plans for the sequel. Here's what they should do. They should definitely keep it in present day and take place after Justice League. Also, another idea for the sequel: bring Chris Pine back because, from my understanding, he has a multi-contract too. And Steve Trevor is a pivotal part of the Wonder Woman comics, from my understanding. You know, I'm reading some of the Wonder Woman comics now. You know, the Rebirth, Greg Rucka's run, which is awesome. I recommend that to you guys, just as people are recommending that to me. It's so awesome, y'all. So even though Steve Trevor dies in the movie, his soul lives on in Hades. So maybe Wonder Woman could visit her uncle and say, "Hey, can I take this guy back?" But also, Antiope is also in Hades. You know, her auntie. So ooh, I'm just throwing out ideas, Patty Jenkins, the WB and DC. Y'all can take them. I mean, I wouldn't mind you guys cut a check, but hey, cause I'm a big Greek mythology person. I know you can only bring back one person from Hades. Y'all know I'm a Christian, but that's why it's called mythology. I guess in Hades, if you want to bargain with Hades, you have to. There's the place is called Hades too, the underworld. You have to. I guess it's bargaining, really. If you want somebody back, you have to give something, and so both people that she really cared about are in Hades. What's her face? What's her face? Antiope. I just said her name. Antiope and Steve Trevor. So who's Diana gonna pick? That's sequel material right there. Or maybe they could save that story to the third movie, and the second movie could be about Cheetah. Or maybe Cheetah could be in the second movie as well. There's people complain about superhero movies having too many villains, but maybe Cheetah could appear in the beginning, robbing a bank or some shit, and Wonder Woman can stop her. Because if you've seen that animated Wonder Woman movie, I saw that the other day on HBO. It ended with a Wonder Woman fighting Cheetah, robbing a bank, and I'm thinking, hey, that could probably be the beginning of the Wonder Woman 2, or maybe Cheetah could be the main villain. Perhaps. I mean, Cheetah is Wonder Woman's well-known villain, and she's also in what's that game? Injustice 2. Gets to trying to get the audience more familiar, non-comic book fans familiar with Wonder Woman's lore. Just as they did years ago with Marvel vs. Capcom 3, where they introduced Rocket Raccoon. They were like, who is that? And then later, lo and behold, he was part of Guardians of the Galaxy, because I had to research who that was. Like, who is this? Oh, he's part of that team. Okay. And a few years later, a movie comes out. So overall, DC, WB, y'all done did it. 5 out of 5. I loved it. I loved how it stood on its own. It had little references to the other DC movies and the Batman for Superman and upcoming Justice League here and there. But it really was a movie that just stood on its own, and it reminded me so much of Captain America 2, Winter Soldier. It had references here and there, about the other MCU movies, but it stood on its own movie. Before I go, I had the pleasure of meeting a legendary Joker. Not Heath Ledger, God rest his soul. Not Mark Hamill, no. Not Jared Leto, no. I met Jack Nicholson last week, y'all. He showed up here at the warehouse. I was geeking out, just, oh my God, Jack Nicholson. Wait till they get a load of me, man. Man. So I just had to point that out. Like, you never know who you run to. It's such a small world. So, did y'all go see Wonder Woman? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you like the video, share the video, subscribe, follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Like always, deuces.